Yeah. What are the plans now? If you look at our schedule, then you'll see that we were planning to have a roundtable from 4 to 5. We are a little bit late, but I think we still have time to do an experiment with all of you. We have an audience of currently 67 people, and we would like to activate you a little bit after being the audience for the full day. You can become active part of the next 30 minutes, and Philipp Rosendahl will explain what we would like to do now.
All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a little bit an interactive session on a so-called Miro board. Miro, I'll post the link in the chat. You go ahead and explore this. You want to open this in your browser, and I'll share my screen to introduce it to you guys while you find your way over there. Let me see where it is. In Miro, we have a few different boards. So this is our poster that we had for this meeting. I can show our schedule here. And then we've prepared 4 different kind of topics that we would like to discuss with you guys. Those are these 4 different cards that we've shown here. So Sebastian will open 4 different breakout rooms that you are free to choose any one that you like. And for each of those 4 breakout rooms, we have one of these cards where we are going to be working on together. First breakout room, first session will be dealing or thinking about the future of construction. Then we have key challenges for additive manufacturing in the built environment. Then we want to collect a few current best practices and lighthouse projects. And we have one session that will think about the future of research and visions, where we're going to go with this technology, obviously with the building environment in mind. How are we going to do this? Well, we've prepared, I'm going to show this at this one over here. We've prepared a few sticky notes. So the moment you get into your room, your host will introduce the topic maybe a little bit, and then we can work on these boards together by copying sticky notes with Control-C and Control-V. We can copy these on to any place on the board. We can move them, we can resize them, and we can add our text here, text and thoughts. And with these thoughts, we would like to fill in the different categories that we've prepared and create a little bit like a swarm intelligence kind of collection of our thoughts here. I hope this will work for everyone. I see the board is already filling up. We got a few people over here. I think we can give a few minutes for everyone to find the way into the Miro board. Checking real quick. Is there any more questions in Zoom? We'll probably also post this for YouTube. Try to put this in the YouTube stream so anyone who's
I already put it there.
Can join as well. Oh, Bastian, you already did. Thanks a lot.
Then shall I open the breakout rooms?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I hope there should be popping something out now for you guys.
And now you're supposed to pick one of these and jump into these breakout rooms.
Yes. Yeah.
And off I am.
Where do I see the breakout rooms, Bastian?
There should have been a
okay.
pop-up window or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, For those who don't see it, you have these 3 dots and the more on the bottom of the Zoom screen, and there you find the breakout sessions.
And then you have to click on join next to the name.
So acoustically, we will be separated into these 4 breakout rooms, but then in terms of graphic activity, we will flock all together on the Miro board. Let's see what happens now.
I guess that most people were kicked out, so probably this is who's left.
We have lost one of our hosts, Uli. Uli is gone.
Can someone...
I as well, I got a message that it was cutting all the time and some were kicked out.
Yeah.
But it's an experiment also.
I mean, I see Uli on the Miro board. Maybe Philip, can you make a big invite for, maybe you copy the link on the Miro board to invite everyone back.
Yeah.
To let them know that it's closed. Do you have the link for the Zoom session?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely an experience. Yeah. But I mean, it looked like on the Miro board, it really looked cool. Yeah, like all these colored dots and like. Let's see.
I found it kind of remarkable how you organize things sort of through time, like long-term goals and shorter term, what's going to happen next. But there's a lot of the same things in both.
Yeah.
Just maybe indicative of the kind of people who are working on the board. Like some are practical, some are, let's build on the moon now. But it's going to be interesting to see what actually happens.
It's slightly overwhelming, I have to say, to be on all these channels active.
Yeah.
Very good.
So everybody, how did the experiment work?
So and so, yeah, but it was fun. Yeah?
So. That's the right one. I was in a breakout room where there was only one person able to talk to me, and the others were kind of off, and it was super silent for half an hour. Bit weird. And I started talking, and you feel like, yeah.
Everyone was busy on the Miro board.
Yeah, the Miro board was actually super active, and it's still active, and there's still people there. Philip, Oliver, you're supposed to be here now.
We are totally back now.
Trying to remove the return to the main session banner.
Yeah, well, thank you to everybody to join this experiment. We lost quite a few people here, but if it's possible, we could have a 30-second wrap up of what happened on the boards. Chris, do you want to start?
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Yeah, okay. First of all, thanks everyone for this nice experiment. Yeah, we have some interesting looks towards the future materials. So functionally grading materials, which sounds really interesting. Again, this theme of multiple material 3D printing came up. So when we look at our buildings, it's not just concrete or steel, but we have a whole puzzle of different materials. So we can see how we can combine materials. The future applications, yeah, it was not so much, but I guess it was this experiment. It's interesting to see the future processes towards, yeah, this large scale printing and more precise printing, and then also looking at like these mini robots or mini bots and small robots building larger structures. And then also looking at future education. So like again, in the future when 3D printing becomes more common at home and it becomes more taken for granted, from what I understood, this technology will become more known to us, but and then we still have to think about, okay, how's our education actually going to change to adopt this technology?
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, so it was a very quick wrap up.
And
That's
we
me.
have Uli.
That's me. Yeah, when I wrap it together, it's the architect's job for future challenges is design, function, and tools for the design. The engineer's job to wrap it up together is in a universal file format. I find that interesting. That's a challenge. Lots of material parameters, microstructures, anisotropy, which are, say, challenges within this material, but also regulations. Obviously, at some point, say, regulation systems for the built environment will have to appear. And for the construction, less labor on site. On-site construction seems to be something where we all believe this is going to be a challenge, a future challenge. Interesting wise, because with additive manufacturing, we always thought this is on site, but we now, as we saw today, most of the projects, not all, but most of the projects are somehow in a lab, which are then to be transported, and then less CO2 with transport. We see a lot of arguments coming by engineers saying we use less material, but especially heavy material, they also have a lot of embodied energy by transport on long distances, and that's something where I think CO2 is an aspect which could be taken seriously into focus. This is it.
Thank you, Uli. Yeah, we tried to look at current best practice and future lighthouse projects, but we started to look at the Eiffel Tower because when the Eiffel Tower was built, there was a new material, there were new design tools like the graphic statics, there were requirements for new building typologies like large spanning halls for railway stations or radio towers like the Eiffel Tower. It came with new aesthetics, which was also puzzling for a lot of people. And I see some parallels here when we look at 3D printing. There are very ugly objects from the first glance, but maybe that means we have to get used to a different aesthetics. We see there are new tools coming up that treat geometry not as a surface representation, but as a volume broken down into voxels, and every voxel could have different properties. We see that things become competitive in terms of economy, like this 3D printed facade nodes that is almost comparable to if you would mill it. We see a 3D printed hand that is replacing the hand, the actual hands or prosthesis. That's maybe not architecture, but it comes close to architecture. If you look at the right-hand side, we see fashion from Iris van Herpen that somehow blurs ideas of architecture and clothing, and maybe these boundaries will blur in the future as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Oliver. And then to wrap this up, we have a quick look at future and visions for this technology as the next steps that are imminent. We have multi-laser selective laser melting. That's maybe not so relevant for the building industry, but for mechanical engineering, it for sure is. We'll probably develop material standards, open source standards. We'll have better process control and better computational frameworks that also include augmented reality and so on. Key players that we've collected, well, they're pretty obvious. They were pretty much all here today. I think that list is not complete, but the best we could come up with. Bigger advances that we expect are something like assemblies using microbots, maybe using support materials for concrete, ceramic, or earth imprinting, or things like real-time simulations of the printing process while the process is actually going on. And then we also have obviously organic binders for earth materials, which manifests in a big advance, and commercially available concrete printers for sure too. A few wishes for 2020. There's the moon base again, the 3D printed moon base. We have self-assembling building, again, real-time simulation, real-time and simultaneous design and printing. Then we wish for that we can rent 3D printers for houses like cranes, and people want to build their own walls, kitchens, spaces, potentially with functionally graded materials. Thanks everyone for this good overview. Quite interesting thoughts on this board. It was very quick, still gathered quite some information. I think it was an experiment worth trying. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Philip, for organizing that. And we now come to the end of this great event. We had one like overarching topic, one could say, which is the integration of 3D printing or additive manufacturing into larger contexts, into larger process change from design to materialization, but also the integration of 3D printing into existing constructions. We saw Ines Ariza that tries to work with repetitive industrialized elements that are then like almost in a surgery welded together. So it's a combination of two different paradigms, industrial repetition and then customization through 3D printing. We saw Philip Yuan's idea of having hybrid materials, of bringing different materials together. We saw Sandy Kurt that works with low-tech materials with very robust tools, to make this technology available to much more people than that use them today. So we see that we see 3D printing maturing, so to say. And if I look back to the last 6 years of the BEAM Symposium, then we really started with isolating objects being printed and tested, and we now see that this technology starts to integrate into many different fields. And I think that's exciting. I'm looking forward for next year's BEAM Symposium. I hope you will all be back. But at the very end of this day, I would like to thank, first of all our speakers who did amazing talks today. Thank you very much. All our exhibitors who were sending videos that we would watch over the lunch break. The moderators, Roland and Gijs, thank you for contributing to the discussions. I want to thank Form Next, who is our collaborator, Sascha Wenzler, Anja Ritzi, and Maria Besser, a great team that we love to work with. I want to thank the people from the TU Darmstadt, and that is first of all Bastian Wibranek for organizing this thing. Bastian, you did a great job. Thank you very much. But also Philip Rosenthal, Chris Borg, Constanzi, that were helpful to bringing people together, to finding people who are open to share their knowledge with us. Yvonne Machlad for administrating the whole thing, Lara Maria Müncher, who did the layout for the booklet. We were supported by the TU Darmstadt profile area from material to product. And last but not least, it's always a pleasure, dear Ulrich Knaack, to work with you.
I love you.
It's always fun. And let's go for 2021, and then hopefully in Frankfurt as a physical meeting on the next Form.
I think it's going to be a hybrid one. I'm really interested in getting this hybrid thing running, because we had so many people from other places which would not be able to join just a physical. So we really have to work to get the hybrid one working. And Oliver, I can't add something.
Okay.
Perfect.
Then that's it. Thank you very much to the audience for joining us today, and see you next year.